Right, guys, welcome. We've got a really great episode of Down with the Buffaloes podcast tonight with the Duchess of Doom herself, Allison Fisher. We're a little bit late on the time there. It was supposed to be 1:15, but we've just been having a little chin wag starting off there, Gareth, haven't we? But should we get her in, Gareth, and get stuck in? Because I'm really looking forward to this.
I'll tell you what, there's no reason why we shouldn't get the Duchess on at this second. I'm all ready
Let's
to go.
get her in because I'm really excited. Brilliant.
Hello,
right,
hello.
Allison, are you okay? How are Allison Fisher, MBE?
Hi there, Allison.
Need to put that name there.
Oh, how are you doing? How are you doing?
Well,
Lovely
not
to
too
hear
bad. It's like nice sunny weather over here at the moment.
Yeah, it's been beautiful here. I've heard. I've got my mother and my brother here at the moment. So
Okay.
Oh,
that's
lovely.
nice for me too. Yeah.
Oh,
Brilliant,
absolutely.
brilliant. Well, first thing straight off, I love
Yeah.
that background. Now, I always
Thank
like
you.
to say, I mean, you're going to have to shuffle over. I mentioned it to Adam Smith last time we were on because he's got a great pool room set. I had to ask him if it was a virtual background or not. That's not a virtual background, is it?
No, I'm a very spoiled woman.
What table is that? Is that a diamond?
No, it's Playcraft. Playcraft are one of my sponsors.
Oh, brilliant. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it looks amazing, that setup. Is
Yeah,
that a
it's lovely. It
shuffleboard
really
on the
is.
right-hand side as well there?
It is.
Yeah,
Playcraft shuffleboard too.
Oh, superb. Oh, that's a proper playground you got in there.
I know, I have. I've got foosball in the corner, darts in the background.
Oh, legendary.
You don't
even
So
need
you
to
could
leave.
down back there then.
You don't ever need to leave that room by the looks of it.
Really, no, there is no need to leave.
But no, well, first off, anyway, I want to say thanks for coming on because it's been, it's been, I mean, living legend, the GOAT of women's Q Sports, of course, has been put around a lot. I mean, I just can't believe we managed to get you on here for a start. I mean, the amount of things that you've won over the years is, well, I've round it off to more than 80 because I just couldn't list them all because there's that many. I mean, I want to know just before we start getting into some of the what's because you're still going, of course, now playing all these tournaments to the same standard,
she's
of
still
course.
kicking.
But, yeah.
Kicking and banking.
But what is, aside from the pool, what's a typical day in the life of Allison Fisher? I mean, I'm not saying have you got a main job? I don't know. I mean, do you get up in the morning, have a little go on your shuffleboard, darts, pool? I don't know.
Go through all the sports. No, usually I get up pretty early. I actually am a daytime person. I'm not nighttime. I'm like ready to shut down at 10 o'clock.
Right.
But I'm an early person. I get up, have my breakfast, take the dogs for a nice walk. So I get a bit of exercise. Then I'll get ready and then I'll do a couple of hours practice. I'm getting back into it as well. COVID kind of shut me down a lot where I got into family time. We have 2 kids, 12 and 13 years old. So it's a mix.
Yeah.
For me, it's a mix of family, trying to get that balance of family time plus having a career. And the career also goes over, like teaching, commentary, playing, practice. So as you know, it's not, I've been in it now competing for 40 years, about 40 years. Yeah. So I feel very, very lucky that I'm healthy, like my body's held up. And I've had lulls in between, where, you have a bit of time off or your heart's not in it and things like that. But I sort of got rejuvenated. I sort of started to see more tournaments and I thought, I'd, give one a go. And I gave one a go and I sort of got that, got into it again. I thought I can still compete and I do it more from enjoyment now. And I like the challenge.
Is that over the last couple of years, Allison?
Yeah, definitely. And then I finished second in the world this year in World 9-Ball Championships.
Yeah.
That was held in Atlantic City. And I mean, I shocked myself, to be honest with you. I did. And it was just an amazing feeling. I had my brother, my mum there, my brother's girlfriend. It was lovely to have family, but also to compete well and get that far. We were all living on the edge all week and it was fantastic.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing, isn't it?
Take us back to your snooker days, Allison. Like I say, because I remember when I first started out in the 80s, you were like on the women's circuit. It was you and Stacey Hilliard, she was a name there, and Anne-Marie Farron, I think her name was.
Yes, correct.
Take us back to that era.
Gosh, that was, so I started on the women's tour. I was 15. Prior to that, I played league, and then just other, league pool. And then I read about the Women's Pro Tour. So at 14, I read about it, probably played my first tournament at 15. I won my first championship at 15. And then at 17, I won my first world championships. Now, back in the day, Mandy Fisher, you said Stacey Hilliard, we were about the same age. Maybe she was a tad younger than me. Karen Kaur obviously came on the scene. Anne-Marie Farron, as you mentioned. There's lots of great players. In fact, my brother just brought a couple of scrapbooks over from my youth. And it's amazing to look at the pictures and see Angela Jones, all the people that Sue Foster, Maureen Bainton. There were so many back in the day. We had a really good top 8, actually, Georgina Applin. And it was fantastic. I had a great snooker career, really enjoyed it. And then I had lots of really good experiences with Matchroom. I joined Matchroom, and then I played the local amateur every night before the pros came on. So I got in front of audiences quite young.
Yeah.
And then I played in the Matchroom League as a pro. So I got to play Stephen Hendry, John Parrott, Jimmy White, Steve Davis, Tony Mio, Tony Drago, Mike Hallett, Neil Folds.
Wow.
And did really well. So, I mean, I've got some really great memories of snooker. Of course, I was sort of the first of doing something, the first of the era of doing something, and like a bit of an ambassador for it. But it was good and bad, that was, because I just wanted to be a player playing. Yeah. And then they made a big deal about me being female and competing. And then, it became a bit of a thing, didn't it? A sexist thing.
Yeah.
So
was that a lot of pressure on your shoulders, Ali?
Yeah, there was. I think it came and went. I think I had lots of great experiences, learned a lot. It helped me, I think, moving on into a pool career. Yeah. Because there came a point where I couldn't see the next 5 years in snooker, which is part of the reason why I switched to pool. I decided in 1995, I thought, I don't really see the future. I don't feel like I'm going anywhere. It's just the same old. And so I'd played a little bit. I played in the first Moscone Cup in 1994. And they had
that's what I read that today.
Two women on each side at the Romford Ice Rink or something. A roller rink. And so I played in that, and I played with Stephen Hendry versus Steve Miseract and Ava Matthias-Lawrence. And that was back in, I'm thinking, I was going to say 1884, 1984-ish.
Harold.
It seems like that, my son, when he refers to something, he say, was that back in the 1900s? Yeah, actually. Well, anyway.
Just recently I showed my son the old Nokia phones, and he's only 30, and he's like, what the hell is that? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's funny, the old things. Yeah. But anyway, so then I sort of decided to make the jump, and I said to my mum, I came home one day and I said, Mum, I think I want to go to America and play pool. And then some expletives came out of her mouth. And she didn't really understand it. And I said, well, I've got really nothing to show for it here, and I don't really see the future. Yeah. So that was what I did. I basically came over, started off, and I expected 6 months before winning my first tournament, and it happened in 2 weeks. Oh, wow. So everything happened very quickly. But, I have to credit my snooker career for the amount of tournaments that I played, for getting in front of audiences, knowing how to win, different things. So it really helped. I look at it as a bit of an apprenticeship for the pool career as well. That's
when you say that about the apprenticeship, Darren Appleton was talking about, we had him on a couple of weeks ago, and he was talking about going to the Philippines. That was his apprenticeship. Last week we had Phil Burford on. I don't know if you know Phil. He's a young sort of 30-year-old now, but he was saying that going to the States was his apprenticeship. So I certainly understand the idea of the snooker being that sort of that angle of apprenticeship. So.
Well, the fundamentals of a snooker player are so strong. I mean, nothing gets better than that, I think. And I've tried to maintain a lot of that. I mess around with things, I toy with things, try different things. But it always comes back to what I learned back in the day.
I mean, it's interesting. I mean, the snooker stuff. I mean, 7 world titles, none less than 7. But also one of the key ones, was your century break in one of them, 103.
Yeah,
which was the first time to have a century break in a world championship, women's world championship, which was mass. And of course, there was a televised one as well in a double thing. I noticed as well that you had. I mean, them things back in the day. I mean, we probably. It's like when people used to get a 180 at the darts. Everyone was like,
it was really good. I mean, because the reason why the TV one was so good, because we really didn't have much TV, didn't have any. So it's like you get and very short races too, very short. So to do a century back in those, I did some in the Matchroom League. I was playing one game.
Yeah.
Wow, that's an achievement. Yeah.
So really, I got good experiences and a lot of respect from different things like that.
And snooker, of course, in the 80s ruled the world. I mean, there was this great documentary on the BBC a few years back when snooker ruled the world. I don't know if you ever seen that, but that was brilliant. And it did. I mean, it was everywhere in the 80s. And then it was
brilliant.
It sort of peaked a little bit.
What a great era.
Yeah, it sort of peaked a little bit. And then, from a female perspective, when you're playing snooker at the top level, there was never the same prize money as you get in the male side of the thing. And I guess was that an influence for you somewhere to go over to the American, because you thought, well, look, I've done all this and I just want something different. I mean, there's more opportunities to do lots of different things over there.
Yeah, definitely. And I got picked up by QTech in the beginning, and before I came to America, they knew I was going to come to America, and they probably bet on that I was going to do well. They signed me up into a 3-year deal. And so I came in with a sponsor, and in my first World Championships I came third, and I thought, well, that's a really good result considering I don't really know the game yet. And that was early on. But yes, because my first tournament was in Charlotte, North Carolina, which is near where I live now, and I played in it, and I came in 9th, and I got a check for like $1,200 or $1,900, I can't remember which, and I thought, wow, that's more than for winning a tournament in England playing snooker. So I loved it. Automatically, it was a no-brainer.
So was that off the back of the Moscone Cup, Alison, that you decided the pool was going to be the journey?
No, I wasn't kind of ready to leave snooker. I don't know what kind of pushed it, but I think one of the things that really pushed it for me was I had a Women's World Championship in India. And it was supposed to be the final 8, you qualify for it, and the final 8 go to India. And it was supposed to be in May. And Matchroom kept pushing it back. And I was peaking. When you're planning to go on something, you feel like you're peaking at the right time. And then the summer came and I kind of lost interest. And by the time it came around, the Worlds in India, I'd been to America to find out how to get on that tour, came back, played in India, and it was awful. It was 120 degrees, no air conditioning. It was horrendous. And I turned around to my mum in the semi-finals and I said, you'll never see me play snooker again.
Oh, really? It's as easy as that?
I said, this is it, right? This is the end. And that was the end.
Wow.
It was a weird moment because I would never have thought that. But that just pushed me over the edge. I thought, it was sort of on the back burner. Let's put the women there and
that's it. So what are you making at the moment of the way Matchroom are getting involved in? And it was just a bit moving on from where we are there, but what are you making on with the way Matchroom are getting involved now in regards to the 9-ball? How are you set for the growth of yourself in regards to moving forward with that?
Well, there's 2 ways to look at it, right? You've got. It's a very political thing, isn't it? I usually tread very carefully, but I do have my own opinions, and my own opinion is that if Matchroom comes in to do something, they're gonna make it work. Especially, they're all in.
Yeah.
The fact that they've started a 9-ball corporation, etc. However, it is only 9-ball, and it is only men. It's open. Yeah. They do a junior thing as that's good for the game. And I think, women talk about colour to it. A thriving tour. One thing over in America I will say is that years ago, this was pre-me coming along, they used to have men and women playing alongside each other, and then the men thought they would do better than the women and sort of kick the women aside. And then the women started the WPBA tour, and it became much bigger than the men and had loads of TV. And all over the world, the women always get very good viewing figures. So I don't doubt that women's pool is strong. And you can see the strength in some of the players now.
Absolutely.
It's getting better and better. So there's that. But then there's a WPA, which is, you know, all the memberships from all the countries around the world belong to that. And that's the key player in the game. If you win a world title, it's a WPA world title, which makes it legit, right? Now, with Matchroom coming along and holding worlds and this and that, what if another promoter comes along? Somebody else comes along and says, I'm going to do what Matchroom does, and I'm going to tread on their dates or tread on their, you know, where do you think people are going to, where do you think people are going to stop if money's thrown at them? The players, where are they going to stop? Let's just say another Matchroom came along, completely different company. Let's just say Saudi Arabia opened up and said, we're going to pay everyone $1 million to come and play over here.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Like they did in golf or wherever it was.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, it could be done
by
anyone.
They're doing it in football now. Yeah, for sure.
It could be done by anyone. So where does it leave? They've tried to get pool in the Olympics. We're in World Games. We've been in World Games for years. I can't say off the top of my head what the WPA has done for the game. I don't really know. I don't know all the numbers. I don't know what they've spent. We always used to hear of Ian Anderson traveling first class all over the world and coming. And as a player, at a tournament, we'd watch him come up, make a speech and leave, or go and get hospitality from the sponsors and then go. So, and then we're thinking, what do we get? We pay a membership fee. We donate some of our prize money as a sanction fee. We got that taken out, and there's not a lot of prize money left at the end of it. So I need to hear the justifications on both sides, which obviously we're reading and hearing a little bit about now. And we need a bit more details about that out in the open, because I can promise you that as players sitting in the arena for years and years and years, pool hasn't changed a lot since I've been there 30 years. And I haven't seen a dramatic increase in anything until Matchroom's come along and now. But the only thing I will say, another thing, is that there were guidelines, let's say. So when somebody comes along, a new promoter or sponsor, you have to have a minimum prize fund, and then you can, you get the WPA sanction or whatever, which I understand that. But then Matchroom started doing, well, anyone anywhere in the globe, if you want to put on a tournament, we'll give it a 9-ball sanctioning. Doesn't matter how much your prize money is. We'll call it a 9-ball event, and it will have 9-ball points. So any country can now get involved without a minimum payment.
I see what you mean,
There's not really a guideline. So where does it stop? And then the other side of the coin, and I'm not on anyone's side in particular, I'm trying to sort of lay it all on the table, is that Predator have a 10-ball tour. And,
they do,
and women and men, and Matchroom have put tournaments over those dates. So they've had to cancel some things because all the men are going here, for example. So when you're treading on toes and not trying to work together, that's where it gets complicated.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm not on anyone's side in particular. I see the pros and cons, but I will say I don't see value there sometimes. There's value there, How does everyone benefit as a whole in pool? I'm not really sure of the answer.
It's tricky. I mean, it did happen a while ago as well. I mean, remember the IPT? Can you remember that when that came?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that was
meant, listen, at the end of the day, the Trudeaus and Matchroom, they're a business. They're there to make money. That's the end of the day. They're there to make money. They would not be involved if it wasn't a business, and we understand that. They are creating a huge payday for the top players, and they're making the top players into stars, which is what you need to do, which Barry Hearn has a very, very good, obviously, experience
of doing years, hasn't he? Yeah.
Look at Steve Interesting Davis. It started there. He created what people said was a really boring player. It turns out he has a very dry sense of humour, and he's a great sense of humour. but made him interesting, made him mainstream, put him on Spitting Image, did all these.
That's where I was going to go with it. Yeah, it's true.
He was on everything, wasn't he?
He was.
He became, you know, a little hero in Britain. You know, so what you need in any sport is to make those top players stars, so that people can relate to them, get to know them, and that's what they're doing. You know, they're doing that, and they're doing it right. They're the first people who've come along who are actually doing it right. So kudos for that.
Yeah.
Emily's not going to stop. She's gung-ho, which is great, because you need that enthusiasm, because everyone wants to knock you down when you're doing something good.
They certainly do, yeah.
So she's very strong. You know, she has to put her life aside to do this. It is 100%, and you do give a lot up to do it. And then the players are supportive, and they're being held captive in some ways politically by WPA and their own associations. And I do understand that, because some of these countries, not England or Great Britain, benefit because they get payments from their governments. Austria, Poland, I believe, they get lots of countries. I don't even know them all. It'd be interesting.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah,
their governments support it because it supports their country if they do well in what event.
Yeah. I mean, it's
well. Just before we move on, you just mentioned you mentioned about the women playing the men. I remember back in 2009, 2010. I came across the draw, and I was drawn against you. And I came to the table as confident as anything, Alison. And I'll tell you what, the Duchess of Doom showed me exactly how pool should be played. And I'll tell you what, there's a saying that I use, and I use it quite a lot: down like a buffalo. You took me down like a buffalo. You dismantled me. So thanks for that, because you put some determination into me. So when I come back over the pond, I'm coming for you, girl.
You're on.
I'll tell
you what, I'll do it again.
Oh, you little monkey.
I'd love to see that as well. I'd love to see that.
Again.
That'd be brilliant.
Yeah.
That would be awesome. Yeah. Well, no, I'd like to make these arrangements, because, like I say, I'd certainly like, when I come down to Carolina at some point, I'd definitely like to get in touch with you. And then that table you've got behind you, let's put the beef on that table. That what you've got behind you, I'm coming for you.
We're never going out of time. I mean, we got Darren Appleton. We told him we'll go up there and show him. We got Phil Burford, Adam Smith. We said we'd go up and give Adam a game. You're on about Alison. We're going to have no time, mate, to do anything.
She's on. That's it. She's on the list, mate. She's on the wanted list.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see that buffalo go down twice.
Oh, you little terror! You little terror.
That'd be brilliant. I'd love to see that. Oh, that'd be great. We'd soon get that shared around.
That's
I think.
Right.
Oh, that's right.
But yeah, I mean, it's interesting where this debate's going to go with the whole Matchroom and the WBA. Everything. We'll have to wait and see. I'm on the fence. I'm not bothered either side. I just want the sport to grow and carry on growing, and that's why we're doing this in a way, because we just want pool. I mean, I keep saying pool. It's been tough in the UK a little bit. I mean, English pool's on the upper course here with the ultimate pool, which is great, and I'll play English pool myself as well. But it'd be nice for 9-ball to be growing again in the UK. Now we've had confirmation of the GB 9-ball tour, which is going to start up again next year, which is going to be great. It'll be interesting to see how much of an uptake they get on it, but I hope they do get it, because there's a lot of good players in the UK that aren't getting out there in these bigger tournaments, and they're well capable of, going deep in some of these tournaments as well. And
agreed. And I see that some of these snooker players are trying to make a crossover too.
Which is fair, great. I love that.
Well, look at the prize money. Why wouldn't you have a go? Why wouldn't you? Because
it's
the top
different.
prize money is very good.
Some of them see it as a bit of fun. I mean, I wasn't that keen on when Lazowski came and had a go at the UK Open, because I kind of got the feeling he was, I'll give it a go. Gary Wilson, on the other hand, I like it because he's taking the time to learn the game and put the time in, and he's getting the results out now as a result of that. And it won't be long before he makes a final, I don't think.
Well,
if he carries on
and the other thing is, when you come from snooker and you go into pool, you have that mentality of, it's a Mickey Mouse game, big pockets.
Yeah, and I've heard that millions of times.
Until you get to playing it, and then you realise you're getting into a 2-out position, and then it gets all funny. Everything goes awry. It's really an interesting game mentally, because snooker, you can have the patience, a lot of patience, and wait, bide your time. In pool, it's so quick.
Oh, yeah. And you
And
said
that's the fun of
mentally as
it.
well there. I mean, it is mentally challenging. One of the questions someone wanted to ask us, actually put it in one of the comments, is how do you keep your mind quiet when you're playing down on a shot? I mean, I've been there. We've all been there. You think you're on a shot, it could be the easiest shot in the world, and you're thinking anything but potting it, and you've got all this doubt in your mind, and I don't want to miss this because they're going to clear up on me if I miss it. And
I think it's process. Stick with the process. You need a physical and mental routine, and you've got to stick with the process, and that keeps your mind occupied and busy. So you don't think about the negatives. Obviously, I'm not going to lie. We've all been negative. We've all have it creep in.
Yeah.
Sometimes you miss a shot that was simple, and you feel the blood draining out your body. And we've all been we've been on all sides of it, but I think the key is process. Have a process, and that keeps you involved in the game. Even when you miss, you sit down, right, boom, let that go. Next.
Do you mean the routine, the pre-shot routine, Alison? Is that what you mean with the process?
I think there's mental routine and physical routine. There's physical routine where you're walking in doing the thing, but that becomes natural. The more you practice something. You practice something daily and you do it all the time, so it becomes a habit. And then there's mental routine, about trying to let something go, process it quickly or process it later, And I think that some things I wish I'd done differently in my world really would have been to maybe take more notes, have a more regimented practice, just different aspects of a game. Maybe notes on the performances, what I could have done differently, how did I feel, different things that you can work on, what you eat, how tired you are, how you're going to get over that, mental fatigue. There's so many aspects to it.
I like watching video back of taking shots because you don't see it when you're playing the shot, but if you watch a video yourself playing when you've missed the shot or you've done something else, you can see it straight away.
Yeah, and I probably should do more of that. That's another thing. I never sit and watch stuff, but I think you're right. But I remember how it felt. I remember a lot of the misses, and I'm like, what I did, probably what was going through the mind, or what went through the mind after.
Well, one of the things we do, I mean, it's interesting you say, I remember this. We do remember shots. We all remember shots. Some of the ones that we've missed, some of the ones we've potted. I mean, what we do a thing where we get people to recreate a shot. Now, obviously, we can't do that physically, but in your mind, I mean, you must have a shot that you remember as probably the best shot you've ever played. Have you got a shot like that?
No, I remember the ones that cost me the matches. That's what I remember. 1995 ESPN Ultimate Challenge. You know what I mean? I remember that. I remember the ones where I played the patterns wrong, and I lost to Vivian in a 1996 ESPN Ultimate Challenge, and 2 shots. I lost 7-5, and there were 2 shots I did incorrectly. One was because I was a pretty new snooker player, played it 2 rails instead of 3, and the other one I corner hooked myself. I drew back so far that I corner hooked myself. It was unbelievable. But anyway,
we should call it.
I haven't let it go, obviously.
We should call it Buffalo misses instead of Buffalo shots. We got it wrong, Gareth, haven't we? We call it Buffalo misses.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. That accounted one of our Buffalo shots. Because what Matt, what you should have said there is what we do is we like to say to somebody what a shot that you can either that you remember executing well, or something that cost you dearly. So it's good to know that what you've done there.
I do remember a really nice shot in the Tournament of Champions event, and I've been practicing it. It was a cross bank length of a table, so crossing the ball and into the corner pocket, and I've been practicing it purely that week, and I played it the cue ball just enough that I could only see half of the ball, so I was sort of hooked, snookered, but I could see enough to do that shot, which was a ballsy shot at the time, and I did it, and it went straight in the pocket, and it was
legend.
Thrilling. That's a thrilling shot when that comes off, something like that. And of course, there's length of a table bank shots like Al-Qaeda did against Kazakis, I think, in the World Masters, things like that, where you've done quite a few of those types of shots to win a match.
Yeah, I mean, we've all got them shots. Like say, some good, some bad. We remember. But speaking of remembering, now you're going to love me for this, but I pulled up something now. I've been doing a bit of digging around. You got to help me out on this one because I want to know what this is all about. Really, can you remember? Can you help me out on?
What is that?
I'll tell you what that is. Well, you got to tell me what that is actually.
Well, is it? The only thing I can imagine is it's a big break Christmas pantomime show or something.
That is exactly what it is. But can you remember the year though? Because I look at that as well.
Oh.
I'm going to guess. Let me have a guess. All right. I'm going to guess about 88.
92. That was.
Oh.
And that's the thing. I mean, I remember when I was playing snooker in that era, and growing up, the late 80s, early 90s. Like say, you know, you were the main sort of player, women's player around the snooker time. But off the back of that, I had to dig another. You're going to love me even more for this one, but I had to dig it. Now it's a bit grainy on the picture, but look at that.
My
Can you remember that one?
Hang on, let me guess the year on this one. This has got to be about 86, 87.
Yeah, it's got to be in the 80s, isn't it? I remember the photo shoot.
This is the old Kylie Minogue era.
Lord Almighty, do you have to? I like my hair a lot better now. Thank you very much.
The best thing about that picture is it's the tassels on the light. You know, remember the lights when they had the tassels around?
It was the perm that went wrong, I think, wasn't it? One of those.
Oh, it's all good stuff. But like, we
Alison, if we had one of them Knowles gotchas, I'd hand it through the screen now and give it to you.
I know. Thank you.
Well, I was doing a bit of digging. Weren't you on a Noel Edmonds thing or something in the 80s?
Yes,
I've seen it. I was doing all my digging. I've seen that as well.
I did all the little stuff. I did all Saturday Superstore. That's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Saturday Superstore. I was on that when the Cutting Crew were on it. That band way back.
Yeah.
Yeah, you probably don't remember it, do you?
No. I'm Gareth might, but I'm not a fan.
Yeah, I've got a vague memory of it, but like I say, I'm getting a bit senile these days. So
yeah, well, we all are. But yeah, that's brilliant seeing those shots. I didn't remember the pantomime one. I thought it can only be from that because that was the only show
what a program as well. Big Break was back. It was a brilliant program.
Oh yeah, I did loads of those. They were fun.
Yeah. Well, it was like Saturday night TV, you know, for me when I was growing up. We'd watch that. You'd get the players on, and your family favourite players always. You'd always be wanting Jimmy White to win, of course, you know. But that's just the way. That's just the way it was. But yeah, I mean, it was an interesting one. I think Dennis Taylor won that one that you were on, actually. There was Willie Thorne on it as well.
Figures, right? They're sort of pantomime type players. Yeah. I'd enjoy that.
Yeah,
Willie
I mean, that's what it was all.
They were the entertainers, weren't they, really? In snooker, sorry.
Yeah.
And John Virgo, they were cut out for that.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah. Classics. But just coming back on the pool thing now, I know you were saying you've pretty much done everything in the pool world anyway, but what else do you want to do? I mean, what goals have you got to drive on? I mean, if you've got any, I mean, you're still playing, of course, but have you got anything else you want to achieve?
I don't have anything particular, but what I'm hoping is that I get over the winning line, win a tournament and get on a roll. Because that's what I think. I think I've struggled to win for a while, so I think I'm right on the door. I'm knocking on the door. So I think I want to win a tournament and then just get on a roll with it. Who knows what will happen then?
All of that.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
What about your kids, Ali? Are your kids showing any enthusiasm for playing?
Yeah, my son Pearson, he plays a little bit, but it's too much competition with having me as a mother. He's very competitive, as am I, of course. But playing any sport that we do, he's very competitive, and his temperament's not quite there. You know,
he's shocking you when you're down on the shots.
You know, he just gets a bit upset too easily. So we're working on that. You know.
Oh,
you can't afford to do that, but I understand it. But he plays flag football and he plays baseball.
Oh, okay. So yes, it's a bit of the sporting family's being kept up.
Definitely sporty and very hand and eye coordinated. Very good.
Oh, lovely. Yeah. Yes, that is
he enjoys it. You know, he's athletic.
Brilliant.
Right. I want to move on to your MBE, Alison.
It's in that cupboard over there.
Is it really? Tell us about the moment you heard about that and how you felt. Do you know what? Just tell us about the MBE, Alison.
First of all, the moment I got a call, I was in the kitchen upstairs and I got this call, and it was from Atlanta, and I thought it's from the British consulate, right? And I thought, oh God, am I in trouble? Somebody said, "Is this Allison Fisher?" I went, "Yeah." And I'm like, "What have I done?" I'm like thinking, what? I'm going to get kicked out of the country. And he said, "No, would you accept an MBE?" I said, "Pardon?" Right, it was like that. It was one of those.
Who's pranking me?
I said, "Are you serious?" He went, "Yes, I'm the British consulate in Atlanta, and would you accept an MBE?" I said, Of course I would. It's like one of those.
Wow.
But I got very emotional. I felt very emotional. Like, really, I can't even tell you how emotional I got. And then they say you can't tell anyone. You're not allowed to tell anyone until it's in the New Year's honours list. It has to be, in writing, basically. So he said, you can't say a word to anyone. It was killing me. It was killing me not to say anything. Even to my mum, I wouldn't, because, my mum, we never know, it'd go around the world.
Yeah.
So I didn't say anything. And so I had a family, I said, I want to have a family meeting on New Year's Eve. And that's how I did it, we're doing now. So we all came in as a family, obviously my family over here. And we're all in one room. I said, I just want to make an announcement, everyone. I'm on the New Year's Queen's Honours list for an MBE. And it was just fantastic. It's fantastic. Absolutely.
That's beautiful.
So I feel it was even more emotional because it was Queen Elizabeth's New Year's Honours list. And obviously that year she passed away.
Yeah.
And so when I did come to get my award, which is a year later, because of COVID and everything, I went there and went to Windsor Castle, took my mum, my partner and my brother, and it was it was unbelievable walking up to Windsor Castle. It gives me chills now thinking about it.
I bet it does.
Windsor Castle was absolutely beautiful. Absolutely. And I lived in Surrey growing up, which wasn't far.
Yeah.
And I used to play at the Berkshire Club in Windsor, and never went to Windsor Castle all the while I lived in England.
That's quite something.
But anyway, went there and it was a fantastic. We did an Airbnb and we stayed a night, and enjoyed it. Really a nice meal. But I met Princess Anne. I was the second to last to go. There was like a couple of rooms, and there was 66 or 68 people that day going for their OBEs, MBEs, CBEs, and knighthoods. And I went in, and I was second to last, and I'm like, oh God, just don't fall over when you curtsy,
Yes.
They put in your mind at ease. You curtsy when you get up, and then when you leave her, you walk backwards and curtsy again, and then. But I had a wonderful time with her. I couldn't believe it. We had a chat. And she was saying, we were talking, used to play snooker against the men. I said, yeah, I had some great experiences. And you'd beat some of the men. And I said, yeah, much like you in your sport, because she's an equestrian, isn't she? An Olympic medalist. Mm-hmm. And she said, yes, but it made her laugh. And she said, yes, but that was all about the horses. I had a lot of airtime with her, and it was really, really good. And I'll never forget it. And I've got some wonderful photos of the experience. And and then I got you get something that the Queen has signed too, as part of and it was just amazing.
I bet your mum was in tears, wasn't she?
No, she was choked up, I think. But what happens is I go up and then the family go across. So you're in this room that's all gold pretty much. It's the gold room. And your family walk along the side and they can see everything that you're doing, but they're not obviously right there with you.
Yeah, sure.
And very, very proud. Very proud. I'm thrilled that my mum's been alive to see all these moments. You know?
Sure.
And she's living with me now. She's come over now. I've got her over. She's going back to England, finalising her paperwork. She sold her house and she's moving over to live with me. So...
that's nice, yeah.
And I feel very fortunate because she's going to be 84 in January. So far so good, touch wood. And she's lived alone. My dad passed away in 2001, and so she's been alone all that time. My brother's been there and everything.
Yeah.
But it's now I get to spend this part of my life with her because I left her when I was 27 years old.
Yeah, sure.
So this would be nice. I'll get to take care of her.
Oh, that's a lovely story, actually.
Yeah, it's really, really touching.
And also, sure. 2022, of course, I've got World Snooker Hall of Fame. Of course, inducts into that.
I mean, I can't believe. Honestly, I have to pinch myself sometimes because I can't believe everything that's happened in my life.
Yeah,
I'm in the BCA Hall of Fame, the WPBA Hall of Fame, and more recently, the World Snooker Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
that's actually one of my favourite trophies, and wonderful. I mean, it's just amazing. I mean, I can't. There's nothing else I could ever want in my life.
Well, that's why I was
really.
asking you. I mean, what else have you got to achieve?
I
Well, you know,
don't
well, just want
know.
to win some tournaments a few times and have a good roll.
I just want to win another one or two. You know, just something
Yeah.
else.
Yeah, I mean, it's brilliant, really. I mean, like I say, you've been so successful over the years.
I think if I win another one, it'll be thrilling because of the age I'm at and doing it way back and doing it now. I've done it. I've won tournaments in every decade of my life, of my, 15 up to over 50. So it's really amazing. So I feel very lucky.
So is there anything outside of the pool at the moment that you do, Alison? Any side projects that you've got going that you've got moving?
Well, I teach a lot as well. I do academies and stuff like that. But I've actually done a children's book called Ali the Crab with my friend Kim Shaw, which I've talked to you earlier about. Kim.
Yeah, I know Kim. Yeah,
play on tour. Well, she's become a bit of a writer on the sidelines. And then we have a friend called Tina Howe, who's a graphic designer, who's done all the characters in the book. And it's Ali the Crab Goes to Pool School. And it's a really cool book. See, Ali the Crab is a bit of a bully at school, right? Throwing pencils on the other fish in front and stuff.
All right.
And then realizes, a friend realizes that there's something off here. So goes home to see Ali and takes her to pool school and realizes she can't count. So she takes her to pool school under the sea and learns a game of pool and learns how to count. So it's a really cool interaction story for kids.
Oh, that's superb.
It teaches a few different things about what people are going through and how to help them, and then how to learn some things. And it's going to be fantastic. We haven't published it yet, but we're either looking for a publisher or self-publishing.
I was just about to say, where can we find out a bit more about it? But it sounds like it's pending. I was going to say,
we're at the beginning. We need, and if anyone out there is listening and wants to learn more about that, feel free to contact me. So that's one thing, and I'm also working on a biography. So some things on the sidelines. Just telling about my life in the game.
Well, as long as you mention them, you took me down like a buffalo in
I will. That's a great
2009,
and it's going to happen again. I'll mention that.
Oh, I can't wait to see that. That'd be brilliant.
You get them, girl.
Yeah, it'd be really good. But one of the other things to say, I mean, now I can see on your shirt there you've got on, which you've put on, brilliant. What are all them sponsors on it? Because I can make out Kamui. It's obviously a little bit backward because of the camera's mirrored it, but that's fine.
I should have turned it all the other way around.
No, that's Kamui. I can see. Who else have you got on there?
I've got Kamui Fort Worth Billiards, Playcraft, Jam Up, who create the shirts, which are really nice.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Mez Q's, more recently Mez. Mez Kamui, yeah. So really delighted. And then I've also got Break Time Billiards and Sports Bar in Winston-Salem, which is a pool room nearby. So very, very happy with the support that I'm getting because like anything, all the players out there, when they get sponsors, it helps them to be on tour. It helps them to go out and play in these tournaments because the expenses, as you know, are very high to go into these things. So it's not cheap. So I think on behalf of all the players, and especially myself, to my sponsors, but we appreciate that support.
What cue are you using at the moment?
I've got a Mez. It's an Ace. What is it? 2187 in the series, Ace series 2187.
Does that have a carbon shaft though?
I've got a Mez break cue too. Yeah, I'm using the carbon shaft.
What do you think of them? Because I'm not sold on them really.
This is my new one. It's.
It's
a pretty cue, cool. But it's ebony.
I like the look of that.
Yeah, it's ebony, and the carbon fiber is. There's pros and cons. It's definitely more power, less effort, more power. The feel is a little different. It's a harder hit, and then the wood, it's a bit stiffer. The wood has a different feel to it. You feel like you can do more, a little more flex, more vibration in the wood. More feeling maybe, but there's pros and cons to both. It's easier, less deflection I feel with the carbon fiber, but it's all about how you play the game and what suits your own swing really, because we're all a little bit different.
What tip size have you got on there?
I've got a 12.2 on this one.
Kamui.
Yes.
Yeah, great. I use a Kamui hard myself, but great tips.
Mine's the black soft Kamui at the moment. I'm going to do a little blurb about that on my MBE, Allison Fisher MBE page on Facebook.
Okay.
I was using the athlete tip, and that's not for me. It just hits a little bit harder than I like. So
it took me a while to get used to the hard Kamui tip, but once I got used to it, it was great. I love it.
Right, and some of it's the sound as well. The sound for me.
So Alison, your sponsors, have they, since you've sort of come back to Pool again, are the sponsors that you've got now, are they new to you now in the last couple of years, so to speak?
Yeah, funnily enough, with the Playcraft one, I was actually contacting them about a shuffleboard during COVID, and I was saying, maybe I can do some social media in return for a shuffleboard, something like that. Yeah. And I said, I see that you do pool tables. If you're ever looking for a representative pool player, I'm a pool player too. So, and they said, actually, we are. So that was very random, and that's been a really good relationship. I've really enjoyed that. They're really good people. And they do specialise in 7 and 8 foot home tables. They specialise in all your home gear, really, for, shuffleboard, foosball, things like that.
That's a dartboard you got back there?
Got a dartboard back there, of course. Got to if you're British. Mez and Kamui are more recent in the last few months, and as is Fort Worth Billiards. It was really Playcraft and Jam Up and Break Time Billiards and Sports Bar. So a couple have come on more recently, which is great. Due to good results, and then also good following on the social media.
Oh, well noticed on there. I mean, it's massive, isn't it? Your social media is really...
It's important. Yeah. It's important. And of course, a wonderful reputation.
That certainly helps. The dark side follows me everywhere, Alison, so I get it.
There you go. What can I say?
Well, one of the things we're getting on a bit here is, I know you got other things to be doing. We don't want to keep you all night as much as we'd love to, but one of the things we want to start doing is we want to just ask a question for our next person. So we're going to get the guest of our previous one to ask the next person a question. It could be any random question, whatever, as long as it's fairly clean, of course. But we don't know who we're going to get on. Well,
and you're going to start this off, Alison.
Yeah.
This is a new.
Do you want to can you think of anything random that you might want to ask the next person?
Well, I think it's important to keep talking about all these things about Matchroom and WPA.
Okay.
And Pool. So maybe the politics of Pool. What do you think? Where do you lie in the politics of Pool?
Sounds like a plan.
I think it's an important issue right now. Needs to be sort of solved somehow or another. Some people, they either have to work together or whatever's going to happen. I don't know.
It's the north-south divide at the moment.
It really is tricky. It's a tricky one. I see both sides, and it's a tough one. Yeah,
we'll wait and see how that pans out. But no, we'll certainly prompt whoever comes on next with that question.
And awkward questions, the awkward moments.
Well, it's a good question.
Well, integrity and honesty is what we need. And like I say, if people can't afford to do it or if people don't want to step forward because of the money, then, they've got to be exposed.
It's tough. It's a tough one because, you've got to say what you really think. And I've kind of said it. I see both sides of that. I see great things, and then I see, there's going to be toes trodden on, whichever way you look at it. So, maybe it needs that injection of something else in order to get other things moving in the right direction.
I like the point you made earlier about the fact that, yes, Matchroom are doing this, but there's nothing to stop somebody else from having a go at it either.
Just saying.
I really thought about that, but it's true. I mean, someone else could come out and say, well, we're going to do this. Yeah. We'll wait and see, but I don't think they will, maybe. But we'll have three-way standoff then, won't we?
Yeah.
Be even better then. But it's definitely interesting. We'll have to wait and see how it pans out. At
the end of the day, pool needs more business people in it. That's what happened with bowling. It needs business people helping to run it, because we've had the same treadmill of people who are players in lots of respects, running something and in their free time, maybe not getting reimbursed for anything. Yeah. So that's tough. But we need it to be run by business people who know what they're doing. Whoever that is, look at the bowlers. Like I said, they've become millionaires bowling.
That's something special, that, isn't it?
Yeah, our sport should be like that, and that's purely because business people came into it, and the players did what they said, and look what happened.
Just a question that I like to ask, Alison. I've asked Appleton and Majid and the ones that have come before. what do you think about the break cue? The jump cue in the game, or anything that could be changed about 9-ball to make it more exciting, like more kicks off, instead of the easy jumps over the ball and things like that? Or where do you stand on the jump?
Well, I do think jumping is an art form too. They're getting so good. Like Fedor, Shane, they're so good at it, and I think that's an art form. So there's kicking, which is, but sometimes you're in a real predicament where you actually can't kick out of something, but you possibly could jump out of it. What then?
Yeah.
So old school from years ago, say remove the jump cue, but I see it, and I'm old school too, but I do see it as an art form too. So you can be very good and practice really hard and become very good with that, and the technology keeps getting better and better and better with that. So I'm neither here nor there. I'm not going to say, it should be all kicking. I think it's an art form, and I think kicking's a great art form. Although I would prefer to watch a kicking battle than I would a jumping battle.
Right, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, that's,
Well,
Sounds
like you're on the fence with that one, but that's a good answer.
Kind of on the fence, but I think kicking's more artistic.
Yeah.
It's more difficult in my opinion because if you look any tables, cushions, I mean you know roughly where you should be hitting it, but it's not necessarily going to come. You hit it in, it's not going to come out necessarily where you want it, where you expect
every
it
table's
to.
different, and every cloth makes a table run differently too. So some of it is, and sometimes you only get a couple of games on that table. Like if you're playing on a match table, you might not even get on that match table till you're in the final. You might not have had a chance to play on it, so it's gonna. And then the lights dry the cloth out, make it faster. There's so many factors.
Yeah. Well, that's why I don't like when you go to these tournaments, like I say, because I play on the Euro Tour and I've played a couple of the Matchroom events. I really don't like seeing them putting the same. I can understand why they do it. The same faces on the main table. I think that's so unfair. I
agree. They're trying to plan for the finals, give them a game or two.
Absolutely. That's what it is.
Yeah.
So
all their star players, if they sponsor them, probably that is a factor too, right?
Yeah. Well, that's a key one as well. So hey ho. Well, over to you, Matt.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say. I mean, I would say obviously we nearly had an hour now of your precious time because I know you got lots of other things to be.
I've actually got to go and take my daughter to karate now. So.
Oh, karate! I used to do that.
Yeah, Daniel's I
was one off a black belt.
Well, you need to go finish that.
Yeah, but I started playing pool and snooker and everything. It was a lot better, wasn't it?
So now you just wear a brown belt most of the time.
I actually got one off a black belt.
Yeah, well, it doesn't count.
No,
I'm learning something new.
What colour is that?
He's now my best friend. I don't want him putting me in a headlock.
No,
I do more than that.
Protect you though, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
You want him to protect you when you fall.
Oh, don't you just? Actually,
I'll protect him when you take him down like a buffalo, Alison.
That's right.
I'll have to take you down like a buffalo after.
Yeah, there you go.
Double team challenge.
I'll let Lily loose on you.
All right. Yeah, no, we do some sparring. But karate was good actually. I did like it, but I just got older and then it sort of waned. That's why I didn't care. But then I did other things. Aikido, I did a bit of that as well afterwards. Nice. But brilliant. But no, thanks for coming on. It's been really, really good. We've really enjoyed it actually. Apologies on that picture with the perm, earlier, but I
love it. You've got to do that, haven't you? You must.
Absolutely. Brilliant. Well, that's going to be. I think we should make that the header for when we put it on social media.
I'm just pleased. I've got hair.
Oh well, yeah. You kept us hanging almost. We were sweating it for a moment there, but.
Oh, you're a legend, Alison. Thank you so much for coming on and spending time with us.
Yeah, it's been really good. Yeah.
And can't thank you enough. And we look forward to seeing you again soon. And I'm definitely going to get on that table and show you how it's done at some point.
That's right. You better.
In the future.
You better.
When is your next tournament? Just before we end.
Next week, I leave for Battle Creek for a Predator 10-ball event, and then right after that, Alabama in Birmingham, Alabama, at the ICB event, WPBA event. Women's Pro Billiard Tour. That'd be 9-ball. So it's going to be fun. I look forward to it.
Yeah,
we'll be watching out for you.
Lovely. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Alison.
All right.
Okay, guys.
You're a legend.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, brilliant. All right.